And here we are. I wonder if my lighting will do that weird thing it likes to do tonight. We shall see. We shall see. I am reading this book right now. Part of some re-education to try to get back into doing what I went to school to do in the first place. I recently highlighted something from it too, because I like to go through and annotate and highlight things as I'm reading. This is from like the first chapter, I think. One therapist I spoke to, Fran, shares her fascination with the inner experience of being a therapist. I love what it feels like, how it changes us, how it penetrates us. I see the job or the profession or the calling as just being this amazing gift for those of us who are privileged enough to do this work because of the gems and the things that we learn. I like that a lot. There's a reason I highlighted it. And some other stuff I highlighted. I don't know if the sound is working. It sounded like it was working earlier, but we actually have a microphone up in here. We had it for months. I just never plugged it in because I forgot we had it. So that's cool. Let's see what else I highlighted. What do we do with the stories we hear? How do we hold them? How do we live with them? The answer, in part, is with difficulty. Oh, wow. I just bracketed the whole section because I liked the whole section instead of highlighting it. But you know what? That's my work reading. I'm going to finish this chapter, though, and I'm going to move on to something else. Fran laughs, remembering what it was like trying to describe to her children what it is she does for work. It really is quite amazing when you think about it. I've had a number of conversations with healers in other cultures, trying to explain what it is I do in my own work. I recall one shaman from the Bushman people who literally fell off the rock he was sitting on, laughing hysterically when I told him how I work by listening to clients, helping them sort things out, and talk about what is most bothersome. The shaman called over others from his village, yelling out, "Come on over here. You gotta hear what this white dude shaman character says." That's a rough translation. Once assembled with his friends, he urged me to repeat what I do in therapy. He was absolutely dumbfounded that I didn't bring together the whole community as witnesses to the healing. There was no dancing, shaking, chanting, or drumming in my description of psychotherapy. There was no calling to the spirits. There was no fire built for the healing ceremony. Although I thought about telling him about a kid who once lit a fire in the wastebasket of my waiting room. Again, the shaman grabbed his belly and everyone laughed at my expense. Finally, when he caught his breath, he asked me if I had ever helped anyone with just this talk. It gets you thinking, doesn't it? I have never really trusted anyone who claims to understand how therapy works. It is far too complex. What the client brings to us in a session is so overwhelming and so full of content and feeling that we can't hold it all. So we have to find ways to live with that, to live with all this uncertainty, all this mystery, all this ambiguity. At the same time, our clients are demanding answers and solutions. So, a new client speaks up loudly to make sure you're paying attention. Now that you've had a chance to hear what's bothering me, can you fix it? You mean right now? You ask, a little confused. Well, he shrugs. If you can't take care of this for me today, I guess I could come back another time. Part of the job of inducting someone into the role of being a good client is teaching the individual a little bit of patience as well as how to work the process. But all the while we're saying this to our clients, we're talking to ourselves too about how to live with the ambiguity of our own lives, trying to make sense of what it is that we do. That's chapter 1. The next chapter is called Struggles for Power and Influence. Everybody's favorite. But I'm going to put that aside for now. And I'm just hanging. I'm just talking. Lately, I've been starting a lot of books and not finishing them. Well, not that I won't finish them, but like restarting books that I've read before in the past and kind of like trying to revisit them and see if they have something new to show me, or if there's something that I might pick up that I didn't pick up the first time I read it because I was younger or not as smart or had less life experience or whatever. I'm trying to get out of my head a little bit, but also kind of into my head a little bit at the same time, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't. Yeah, I think that there's a lot that goes into kind of finding yourself, or creating yourself, I guess, really is what it's more like. I don't know if I like the concept or the phrase finding yourself. That would imply that I was lost at some point, and I don't think I was ever really lost exactly. I just hadn't decided who I wanted to be yet. And in a way, I still kind of haven't, but I have a better idea now than I did 10, 20, 30 years ago, hopefully. But to borrow a line from a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode, I'm still cookie dough. I'm not yet cookies. I do have an idea of what I want to be and where I want to go. It is the harder, more difficult route for sure. But one thing I've come to learn about myself in the past 7 years is that I need things to be a little bit difficult. What is it? Like, I need a little bit of resistance. I need something to fight. I need something to be challenging, or I get really bored and I get self-destructive. I saw a meme the other day. It was pretty funny. It was like, it said something like, my enclosure requires more enrichment or I will begin to act out soon. Kind of comparing us as humans to like some kind of animals in zoos or something like that. Which sounds ridiculous, but like really it's not that far off. Like if you have an apartment or a house with a yard or whatever, it's your habitrail, right? It's your enclosure, so to speak. And there's probably like an optimal amount of space and movement and freedom that each human thrives on the most. Some people are city people. They love that feeling of being like part of a hive. I don't like that feeling. I like to visit cities. I like to go see them and see what they have to offer, like plays and culture and humanity and all that kind of stuff. But I don't like to live in big populated cities. And I've been to a few. I've been to London. I've been to Washington, D.C., Paris, where else? New York City. Those are probably the biggest big cities I've been to. And they are all really exciting for about a week. And then I get tired. And then it's like too much other people buzzing around me. And I've been like that since I was a little kid. I hated cafeterias. I hated really crowded spaces like that. Not because I don't like people, but because I do like people. Like, if I have a group of people with me, I really want to tune in to like what each of those people wants and needs and what their energy is like and what they're feeling. And like I try to pick up on all of that stuff, and it matters to me because other people matter to me. But the more people I get around me, the more overwhelming that becomes. Like, if you put me in a cafeteria full of people, it's like all these waves of like needs and conflicting emotions and stuff like that coming off of so many different people, and they all want different things, or conflicting things, and it's a lot to take in. Not that I can't do it. Like, I can do the crowd thing sometimes. Like, I used to go out to dance clubs and stuff like that, but you kind of get in a mindset for that. You kind of prepare yourself for that. But it's not something I would want to do 24/7. Um, of all the cities, oh yeah, I've been to Boston too. I forgot. It's another big city I've been to. I really like Boston. Boston is different. London is really, really bustling, but like very, very efficient, it felt like. Like, everybody knew exactly where they were going, and like, go ahead, like, move along. um, New York City is something different. I've been to New York City just the once, I think. I couldn't remember if it was once or twice. I think it was just the once. I liked New York City. No, wait, I've been to New York City twice. That's right. I went as a kid and again as an adult. New York City has a lot of cool culture and stuff too. Um, but Boston feels friendlier to me. I don't know if that's just my perception, or maybe because I was visiting our family there. So it was naturally going to be more, I guess, friendly because I knew people. Um, I also like duck boats. Boston has these things called duck boats that are, you can take a tour, and on land they have wheels, and they're basically cars, kind of like buses, but then they convert and they go into the water, and they're a boat. They're both, so they call them duck boats because ducks can be both on land and on on the water. I got a thumbs up and it wasn't from me, so maybe I have a lurker. That's cool. I like lurkers. Lurkers are my favorite. Uh, well, yeah. Lurkers are my favorite. Hang out, lurkers. You don't have to say anything. You can if you want. You don't have to. What else? I've been to London twice. Actually, yeah, London was really fun. London was different. The first time I went was with my family when I was like, I have it in my journal. I was probably like, I think I was like 10. I have really old journals dating back to when I was like a little kid. I think the oldest one I have was like 1997. How old was I? 1998. So I was 11. Yeah, the first time we went, I think the most exciting thing to me was Sega World. Uh, Probably a lot of people don't remember Sega. Sega Genesis was a video game system that was cutting edge and popular when I was a kid. Later than the Atari and the Nintendo, but not as new as like the PlayStation. It was kind of midway between those things. But Sega World was this giant multi-leveled arcade in the city. I think it was like 3 floors or something ridiculous like that. Um, we actually went back twice. I mean, we did a lot of like culture sightseeing there. We went to like all the museums and all of the, parks and galleries and things like that. But um, We went back to Sega World a couple times because, my brothers and I were kids and we were driving my parents crazy, I'm pretty sure. So they had to do something with us. I think, but what I remember the most about Sega World was not like a video game I played or an arcade game or anything like that. It was two things. It was finding an Indian rupee, 5 rupee piece in a machine, and just thinking that was so cool, at the age of 11, because like the edges of those coins are different. They're like multi-tiered. I keep meaning to find it and like show it, but I haven't. I keep forgetting. I might go get it. Everyone is asleep right now though, so I don't want to rustle around too loudly. So that's one of my number one memories of Sega World. And then my other favorite memory was a little sillier. So I was, as a kid, don't judge me, I was a huge Spice Girls fan. I was their target market. What do you want? I loved the Spice Girls, and the Spice Girls were originally from England. There was a lot more Spice Girls merch there. And like any arcade, it had one of those little counters where if you won a bunch of games and you won a bunch of tickets, you could then go exchange your tickets for these little prizes. And at this counter, as one of their prizes, they had these little Spice Girls figurines that were all about like that big, like a little bigger than that, of all 5 Spice Girls. And I did not win nearly enough tickets to get all of those because they were like vastly overvalued. Like they were just little like plastic figurines. But I took the tickets I had up to the counter, and for whatever reason, the guy working the counter, like, he was like, "Oh, you just want these? Yeah, you can just have all 5. That's fine." Like, you just gave me all 5. I don't know if maybe my mom paid him for them and I didn't realize it, but I had all 5, and I had those for a long time. I think I ultimately ended like during like in between high school and college, I think I might have purged some stuff. I think I ended up selling them on eBay. So somebody enjoyed them somewhere. I enjoyed them for a long time. Those are my 2 most fun memories of Sega World in London. Something else fun about London. It was the first place I ate quiche. Like, of all the places that I would eat quiche for the first time, when we went on that trip was the first time I had quiche. And I had to ask my mom what it was, and she had to explain it to me that it's like an omelet pie kind of thing, which it's not particularly British. It's just that at the time they didn't have as much like junk food. Like they had McDonald's and stuff, but like if you were going to go around to the corner store, you were more likely to get like, I guess, more real food with like real ingredients in it. And so we were going around the corner to try to get something like simple and easy without having to go to another restaurant because we just didn't feel like it. And one of the things they had were these little quiches. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I honestly, like London is what I remember the most, but I've been there 3 times. Like I went there the first time when I was 11, and then again later with my parents when I was 15. And then when I was 18, I went with my Girl Scout troop. We sold enough cookies to earn enough money to go on a London trip. So that was pretty fun. Oh, I think my doggy wants to come in. Just a second. Come on in, Flash. Come on. You can come in, boy. It's okay. You don't want to? Okay. Okay, you can stay out there, but I'm going to close the door. He didn't actually want to come inside. That's okay. But while I was out there, I found something that I actually have pictures from London in. I think I do anyway. Oh man, this isn't London pictures. This is, oh, my dog. It's my old dog. And my mother. Oh, there's DC. There's Washington, DC. I don't have very good pictures from Washington, DC, though. Here we go. Here's the London pictures. So that's not actually London. That's Bath. That's me as an 11-year-old at Bath Spa, which is like it's a very, very, very old. It was a spa that like people used to go to for like healing properties and things like that. Oh, it's not a very good picture of Sega World, but it's a picture. What I remember most about Sega World is the rupee and the Spice Girls photos, though. Or Spice Girls figurines. That's an escalator. It's got like a little like round kind of tubular thing about it. So yeah, that's interesting. I haven't looked at this in forever. I don't know why I'm doing this on a live for myself. I'm weird, right? I'm weird. I don't know why I'm doing this. Oh, hey, look! Someone's here. Have you been lurking, Lord Kiss Freak? I like your little eyeballs. My lord. How's it going? Okay, you haven't been lurking. At one point, I had a like, but there was no one here, and so I thought, well, that must have been a lurker. That's cool. I like lurkers. It's fine. Because I'm not quite sure how it works. Like, I don't know if you can see who's watching unless they like make themselves like they enter something in the chat. I don't think you can see them unless they enter something, probably, right? Probably not. Because I think I've seen that like when I have participated in chats that my name doesn't show up in the participants list unless I say something. So you can chill and you can lurk. Oh, 3 likes? I only see 2. Maybe mine is not updated. Can I like my own? No, I can't like my own stream. Oh, hey, Janet. Janet's probably my other like. Nice to see you guys. I was just chilling. I was just talking to myself over here about different cities I've been to and what I liked about them and what my favorites were and stuff like that. Have y'all been to any big cities? I actually like I like to visit big cities, but I don't like to stay there because it's a little too much hustle and bustle for me. Like I get kind of, but it's fun to visit for a little while. That's fun, yeah. Well, cool. I got buds. This is my insomnia stream. I read from a book at first. What's everybody reading right now? She just lost her marbles talking to herself. You are correct, Lord Kiss Freak. I did lose my marbles just talking to myself. But isn't that what people do on YouTube? Like, isn't that what people are doing? Until someone shows up, everyone's just talking to themselves. Isn't that normal? Janet G. Vancouver, Los Angeles, Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, Seattle, Minneapolis, blah, blah, blah. My favorite city is the third blah. I loved blah, the culture. Oh, you lived in Chicago until you were 10 years old? You read chat. Does that count, Lord Kiss Freak? Yes. Yes, it counts. It counts. I have heard that Chicago, I've never been to Chicago, but I dated somebody who went to college in Chicago for a little while. And he said it was so cold in the winter that his beard would actually freeze, um, which sounds horrendous to me. But I grew up in North Texas where we freak out if snow stays on the ground for more than 24 hours. Um, but Janet, if you've been up in Edmonton, Calgary, like you've been up in a lot of cold places, it looks like. So y'all probably think we're funny in Texas when we freak out. You took piano lessons in a Frank Lloyd Wright house? That's so cool. The architecture was different, right? Like, not only was he one of the flight pioneers, but an architect. The house was in the Chicago area. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, the person I dated went to Loyola Chicago before I met him. So he had all kinds of crazy stories about Loyola Chicago and running around being irresponsible like college people do. Very, very cool. It was the Cheney House in Oak Park. Oh, I'm going to look that up. I'm going to see what that looks like. Do y'all mind? I don't usually. Let's see. I'm going to Google it. But on my phone, because I don't know how to Google on the computer without like turning everything upside down. Cheney House in Oak Park. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Is it the one that says Elizabeth F. Cheney Mansion? Is this it? Ooh, this is pretty. I don't know how to make that bigger. Let's see. Maybe if I turn it sideways. Let me see if I can get it to. I don't know if you can see that. Is that it? I don't know if the backlighting is messing with it. Nope, that's not it. Okay. Well, this is something called Cheney Mansion. So maybe that's not what it is. Let's see. Oh, it's because it auto-corrected it for me. I don't want it to auto-correct. But you took piano lessons there? I took piano lessons for about like 6 months or something when I was 13 with a lady from Russia named Miss Groisman. Is it Edwin H. Cheney House? Does this look like it? Yay! Cool. Lord Kiss Freak's got to get off here and get some sleep. Hey, yeah, do it. Go sleep. Sleep is important. Thank you for stopping by to say hi. You spent most of the day working on your truck and I'm pooped. Yeah, I would be. I wish I could fix my own car, save some money. But yeah, it sounds tiring. Sleep well. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for clicking a like for me. And I'll pull up more pictures of this cool house you took piano lessons in. What does the inside look like? It looks really interesting on the outside. Oh yeah, I did. I did take piano for about 6 months. But when I was 13, I kind of like, good night, Lord Kiss Freak. Thanks for coming. Thanks for saying hi. Hugs. Yeah, I took piano for about 6 months. I would have taken it longer, but when I was 13, I kind of got like super busy and I just wanted to do everything and learn everything. I At the same time, I also was in on the basketball team at school. I was also doing theater, so I would like stay after school until like 6 o'clock every day. And then in the evenings, I would go to my piano lessons. I was also doing Girl Scouts at the time. I'd go to Girl Scouts. Um, so I would like start my day at 7 a.m., like get there at 7 a.m. for basketball practice and usually be there till like 6 o'clock at night. Then in the evening, go do either piano or Girl Scouts. And frankly, I kind of burned out. Like I was just doing too much. But it didn't feel like too much at the time. I just wanted to learn everything and do everything. But unfortunately, I didn't take piano long enough to like really learn how to actually play. Um, and the way that she worked is before she taught you how to like kind of read music and be able to like play something from sheet music, she taught you just like physically like how to play a song so that you would get hooked in and so that you wouldn't be discouraged. But unfortunately, I that's as far as I got. So I still remember how to play one song on the piano from my several months of lessons. Uh, and that's it. But I can do scales pretty well. Like I can do a good scale. He said that the Cheney house is not a big house, but very interesting inside, and like all Frank Lloyd Wright houses. Oh, you sucked at piano? Aw. Oh, you were afraid of her dogs? Ooh. Oh, Afghan hounds. Those are really big dogs. Afghan hounds are huge. They would flop onto the Bocati rugs and disappear because Afghan hounds are so like fuzzy and like hairy. You didn't take piano that long either. You were uninspired. Oh, now you're taking piano? That's awesome, Janet. I love that. I'm so glad. You know, I have an acoustic guitar that I still need to learn how to play. That was another thing that I started trying to do as a teenager, but like didn't like take. Um, well, that one I would have stuck with longer, but I started taking guitar lessons and it was like the teacher like rented a room out of the guitar center, which is like the store. And one day the guitar center just like shut down, but they didn't tell anybody taking lessons there. So like we showed up and well, it was gone and we just never got a replacement. So uh I did at one point know how to play the intro to Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, but I don't remember now. But I know there's a lot of like tutorial videos on YouTube and stuff, so I don't know, I might just do it that way. But I have a history of like trying on different like hobbies and things and um activities and not necessarily like sticking with it long enough to get good at it. Like I would stick with it long enough to just kind of be able to talk about it. So, um, hey, Sandy. Sandy Mandy's here. Yay. Janet G, you're 63 and you love Metallica. And I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to learn guitar. I don't yet know when I will make the time, but I don't know. I'm making the time to live stream at midnight, so I guess I can make the time to learn guitar. I don't have a piano at my house, so that would be a little tricky, but I do have a guitar, so I could do that. I could go on some YouTube tutorial videos. Um, that's funny. Metallica was actually my first concert I ever went to. Um, I was, I think, 17 or 18, and my boyfriend at the time had tickets, and we didn't think that my parents would let me go because it was on a school night, but they did. But I kind of talked them into it by saying, "Hey, there's no way that I'm not going to get up for school the next day because we're going on our theater convention field trip." So, and they figured that was accurate. So they figured I wasn't going to run off and join the circus or become a roadie or something. Janet said, even if you pick up the guitar for 20 minutes here or there, you'll learn. Yeah, I think you're right. I still kind of remember like the way to position and like hold down like the frets and things like that, but I don't remember exactly. I don't remember the locations. Yeah, Metallica was fun in concert. You never got over the hurdle of reading music, but now you have. Oh, cool! That's awesome. I'm so excited for you. Um, I did choir in middle school. Like I did choir in middle school and in a little bit of high school. Oh yeah, that was another extracurricular I did. Like at the same time as all the other stuff. Um, I just wanted to do all the things. I also tried to find a way that I could be in both marching band and like orchestra, but unfortunately, they were like, "I don't think that that's realistic. You can't do both. When are you gonna have the time?" So I don't know. Maybe a lot of like middle schoolers go through that, like wanting to try a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Janet G, I'm fascinated that you're a therapist. That's amazing. Well, so the story behind that is I am not currently a therapist. I am licensed to be a therapist. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, but I have not worked as a therapist in about 7.5 years. Um, I, when I was, let's see, when was it? It was around 2016. I had been working in a community behavioral health care center, which is like provides services for folks that don't have insurance, that don't have income, that like can't really afford the services. That's where I worked for a long time. I worked in one in Dallas, and then I worked in one in another city near Dallas. Um, and it was like I look back on it as one of my favorite things that I ever did. And I had a lot of really interesting experiences, and I got to meet people from all different walks of life, and I just loved that. Um, Sometimes it was a little wild, but like it worked for me. Like I needed that. But once I like got done with my intern hours, because like it's a little bit different in every state, but in the state of Texas, you get your master's degree and then you have to work as what's called like a LPC associate or an LPC intern, it was called at the time. And you have to have a supervisor that you meet with at least once a week who, guides you on what you're supposed to be doing and make sure you don't do anything terrible or, make sure you understand your ethics and all that. And you have to get 3,000 hours of what they call direct and indirect. So direct hours is when you're working directly with people, like either actual counseling, therapy, or like case management and stuff like that. And then indirect is stuff like researching, documenting sessions, stuff like that. So it took me, I don't know, it took me a while to get those hours. But when I did, I would have stayed at the clinic that I worked at. But they made some changes to the administrative staff, like my boss. I got a new boss, and I don't think I'd be unfair to say he was kind of a terrible boss. He would scream at people in the hallways. He would like interrupt sessions. Hey, Mary, how you doing? I was just chatting about how people become licensed as therapists in Texas and my journey and stuff like that. I was just riffing. Thanks for coming. So I left that job and I went and worked with a private practice for a while. Like I worked with somebody else's private practice, but at the time it wasn't a great fit for me because of like one, the lady who owned it wasn't really clear on what her expectations were, for whether I was going to be doing more therapy or more assessments, that kind of thing. And it was a little bit further from my home. It was a little bit further commute than I expected. So I left there. I went to work for another private practice therapy for a while, but while I was there at both places, I helped do IOP groups intensive outpatient programming, which is like not just weekly therapy. It's like you go usually around 9 hours a week. Um, I would fill in. I was a contract therapist, and they would have me do like PRN. So like if anybody was out sick, they would have me run the group. Um, I think my most the population I enjoyed the most was teenagers in drug abuse IOP. None of them wanted to be there. Maybe one wanted to be there, but none of them wanted to be there. Everybody had an attitude, and I don't know why, but I love that uh, because it's more reliant on like relating to a person and kind of I don't know. I just enjoyed it. Janet said it's a long process. My sister was a therapist. She had a BA in psychology and music minor. Oh, cool. Then she did a master's in opera. That's cool. And then a master's in mental health therapy. It's a long process. It really is. I'm glad you think it's interesting, Janet. It's just kind of part of what I did. But the reason I have not been working as a therapist for 7 years is around 2016. I got pregnant and I was like in between jobs, and suddenly my whole like priorities about work just shifted straight to I want stability, I want a good salary, and I want good benefits. And that was like it. And I did interview with a few clinics, but ultimately I interviewed with an insurance company. So um, we actually had ended up having a very early miscarriage, so we didn't have that baby at the time. But that was still what was driving my job search. So I was kind of reeling from that and kind of grieving, and my husband was grieving. Thank you, Janet. Thank you. It's been long enough now that like I can talk about it and it doesn't wreck me or anything, but it was a really tough time. And even though it was very, very early, like it was emotionally draining. It was gut wrenching emotionally. There was definitely grief involved for sure, but that just drove my whole job search. Right? Yeah, yeah, it is a loss. Um, so I took the job with the health insurance company, and that is where I have been working for 7.5 years. And the role I have currently is um, we work in, so I have to have a license to do what I do whenever, whenever like a hospital or something like that is requesting like permission to bill for something, like they're saying, hey, insurance company, will you pay for this? They have, well, people like me who are licensed look at the clinical documentation that the, provider, the therapy, facility submits and like compare it to this set standard of criteria. It's called a medical necessity criteria. And then we can say, like, yeah, that meets, or we need some more information here. Um, and if it doesn't meet it, then we send it to a doctor and they look at it and they call back and forth, and it's a whole big mess. And I don't want to get into that too much because I still work there and I won't say where I work. But my goal right now is to get back into uh, working as a therapist. Um, I have colleagues that work where I work, but they also still see clients like in the evenings and on weekends and stuff like that. So I might get back into that a little bit. And I've been talking to a friend of mine who has her own private practice and has been really successful with it to kind of get started. Yeah, you're right, Janet. Time doesn't take away the loss. Thank you for the heart, Mary. The whole element of dealing with medical and insurance just doesn't exist in Canada. There is no go between. Really? How does it work in Canada? Like there's no, so we call them MCOs here, or just a fancy way. It's a managed care organization. It's a fancy way to say health insurance company. They don't have that in Canada. Is it just like show up for your care and all right, we get paid. I mean, there's some use for MCOs, like some hospitals in the United States in particular will way take advantage and way overbill. Like they'll bill you $80 for a box of Kleenex or something like that. Um, and so part of what an MCO is supposed to do, in theory, is help control costs like that. It is debatable whether it happens that way all the time. So Mary says, when it comes to dealing with the insurance, I usually get it because I'm a dog with a bone, especially when it comes to my family. Yeah, that's smart. Actually, that is a good thing. Like I will say that, so it's supposed to be the provider or the doctor's responsibility to request the authorization, to request the payment. But if on the insurance side, people seeking care are called members. You're a member of your insurance company. If that person calls and makes a complaint, it usually goes a lot further. Uh, If you have the patience and the stamina to get through the phone tree, once you get through that, though, like um, if you're, tenacious, then it makes a difference. So Janet says, so if you need an MRI, your doctor orders it and the government pays for it. Wow. That's so direct. My current job wouldn't exist in Canada, would it? Whatever your doctor orders is automatically funded by the provincial health authority. If you go to the hospital, the province pays for it. Wow. Sandy, not sure what you mean by single payer. Oh, Mary, you said you're back and you aren't on speaking terms tonight. I'm sorry. Prayers and ones and oh, I can do this. I can put things in my chat now. Oh, for Mary, I'm so sorry you're back and you aren't speaking tonight. I hope your back is kinder to you soon. Mischief! Hi! People I know are here. This makes me happy. I would have been just as happy to just talk to myself for an hour, but it's way more fun when y'all are here. So Sandy, government pays is also called single payer. Yeah. And in a way, like military, like the insurance that folks in the military on active duty get, that's kind of referred to as single payer, except it's not really, because even though that insurance is funded by the government has an MCO review stuff and manage it. So and I'm keeping an eye on my notifications so that I can hop off when Chow Yun's Butt goes on, because I don't want to step on any toes. And I like going to her lives. I don't want to miss that. But so even like Medicaid and Medicare in the United States, in a lot of different states, even though those are technically funded by the government itself doesn't actually manage most of it itself. They contract it out to MCOs, or managed care organizations, insurance companies. So like the one I work for mainly does Medicaid and Medicare for the most part. And the way that it works is that the government allots a certain amount of funding for Medicaid, for Medicare, and they say, here, MCO, you manage it. You be in charge of authorizing, not authorizing it. If you manage to save some money, then you can keep it and call it profit. And there's shareholders and there's the whole bit. It's for profit, even though it's government funded. That's just how it works. Mary said, I have no idea. If I knew, you'd be the first one I tell. My sciatica nerve acts up every once in a while, and it started tonight. I put heat taking my medicine and in bed resting. I'm trying to be a good patient. I don't like it. I'm a horrible patient too. Like, and I don't have fibromyalgia. Like, my heart goes out to you and anyone that struggles with that. But I know even when I'm sick for just like a few days, I get really, really, really cranky. Like, around the second day, I don't want to rest anymore. I want to get up and do things and I want to be productive. And then I usually just make myself sicker. It's no bueno. It's difficult to be a good patient. Mischief, you're not happy either? I'm sorry. You can talk to us if you like. You don't have to. Either way, I hope you feel better, Mischief. I hope you feel happier. Mary, when I get to heaven one day, hopefully way down the road, it will be a question. I ask God why that nerve was ever put in the body. That's a good question. That's a very good question. But, the sciatic nerve. Yeah. That's a good question. Mischief says this is day 4 for this neck thing, and I'm getting cranky. Oh, I'm sorry, Mischief. Did you sleep on it funny? Like, did you get a crick in it? Or did it just like come up like that one day? Is it just acting up on you? I know that, like, for me, like, I carry all my tension in my neck and my shoulders. Like, if I don't watch myself, I'll get like this. And then I'm wondering, like, why do my shoulders and my neck hurt? And it's because I've, clenched it up like that. So that's something I have to constantly watch for. You wish you knew what you did. Did you just wake up one day and it hurt? That stinks. Ugh. I'm so sorry. What did I do the last time I woke up with a crick in my neck? I think I tried to stretch it a little bit. Like, there's these kind of like neck roll things you can do. I do those all the time anyway, but you probably don't want to overdo it with that because it might hurt. If it's a muscle thing, maybe heat. I know some people swear by chiropractors. I am cautious about chiropractors. I mean, some are really good, and some really help. But then the general, like, rule of thumb is if your chiropractor is focusing on like your back, your spine, your alignment, your body, great, awesome. If you go in and they say, my chiropractic can heal your autism or something like that, then maybe be a little bit wary. There's not really much data to support stuff like that. That said, whatever works, whatever makes people feel better. Mary said it was crazy. It was snowing in Ohio today, and then it was raining and didn't know what it wanted to do. Yeah, Mary, and I saw your live when you were walking it. The sun, like, the sky looked blue in that. Like, it looked pretty. So and you told me earlier it had been snowing and raining. That kind of, like, it did change really fast. That's like North Texas weather. Oh, thanks, Mary Cricket's live. Janet, you prefer massage therapy? I do too. You know what? I haven't done that in a long time. That sounds nice. Maybe Mischief, maybe you need a massage on a neck massage. Maybe that would help. Well, I'm gonna try to put in Cricket's link, maybe. Janet, your husband is a doctor, a radiologist. He's seen carotid artery dissection in his practice. Chiropractors say it never happens, but my husband has seen it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm scared of. So I recently finished reading this book called, what was it? Trick or Treatment. And it basically goes through a lot of different, like, holistic treatments for different things, and, like, very neutrally kind of just looks at data, like, have there been studies on this or have there not? what do people say about them? What's the theory behind it? And they look at chiropractic, they look at acupuncture, they look at all kinds of different things. You know what's funny? Some chiropractors, I don't know about now, but at one point, chiropractors were using e-meters. That's kind of wild, isn't it? Yeah, the book Trick or Treatment talks about the use of e-meters in chiropractic and kind of the history of chiropractic. But yeah, Janet, that was what your husband said about going and get your back worked on, but never your neck ever. That's exactly what this book said. It said, like, hey, back pain is notoriously hard to treat. There's not a lot of good treatment for it that is shown to be really effective. So if a chiropractor helps you, awesome, but that it can be really dangerous to have them adjust your neck, especially when they do that thing where they do that. That's supposed to be really dangerous. It might feel really good, but it's dangerous. Mischief says, I've heard that too. A chiropractor invented the e-meter. I didn't realize that, Sandy. That makes sense. Yeah, that's why they would have used it. And then our buddy, not our buddy, but I guess it was kind of co-opted then. Well, thank you for putting the link in, Mary. Yeah, the neck twists. That's scary. Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, that's what the book went to. And it looks like that's what Janet's husband said too. Was the chiropractor a Scientologist? I don't remember, but probably. Like, I think Sandy might know better than I do. I think one of the books I read, like regarding the history of Scientology, was that like the e-meter was originally invented by like a member and then shared, but I don't remember for sure. It's been a while since I've read that. Yeah, early days. I have to go back and read some of those books again. Maybe it's a lie detector to see if you're lying about your pain. Oh, sorry, I'm joking. It's funny. So I'm going to jump off here in a minute and go to, so y'all can go to Crickets Live if you want to, and so I can too. But I had a funny experience once when I was, I think I was a teenager. It was around the time that the South Park episode came out. Hugs, Janet. It was around the time that South Park episode about Scientology, Trapped in the Closet, came out, a little bit after. My little brother and I were at the Texas State Fair in Dallas with my mom. And they have all kinds of different things out there. And they've got like indoor exhibits and indoor stuff. And set up at one of the booths indoors were these two gentlemen from the Church of Scientology. And they had e-meters set up. And they were like, hey, want to come over here? So we did. And I didn't stay long. I thought, I'm not taking this seriously. I don't want to waste anyone's time. Like I was trying to be nice, right? Like they're genuine people. I didn't want to be a jerk. But he had me hold the cans on the e-meter, and he started asking me questions, like just the really innocuous stuff. And then I realized, like, hey, if I squeeze these really hard, it moves. Like it just moves really fast. If I squeeze it hard, if I relax my hands, it goes back. That's probably not how you're supposed to do it. So I was just like, hey, look what I can do. And then he looked at me like, lady, what the? I don't think I was. Yeah. And then I said, hey, I'm sorry I'm wasting your time. I'm going to go somewhere else now. But my little brother was like trying to have a conversation, like trying to interview him, like basically like, where are you from? Why do you do what you do? That kind of thing. My little brother was not shy about anything to anyone. So, I mean, I don't know if they were really, I mean, I guess they might have been like, a stunt or something, but I mean, they seemed very genuine. So I don't know. Hugs to Janet. Give Flash a kiss from me, I will. In auditing, they have a desired grip you need to use on the cans. Okay, so I was just being a jerk and I was not following the rules, I guess. Sandy, I'm curious, had you ever heard of them like setting up at like state fairs like that before? Because like looking back on it now, I wonder like that's an awfully strange place to like set that up. Um, because it seems like it would be something you'd want to have like somebody in private for. Oh, they did? Okay. So that was probably real then. It probably wasn't somebody like trying to, I don't know, clown or something. Well, that's interesting. That gives new perspective to that experience. Um, it's really interesting. Thank you, Sandy. You don't remember seeing any at the LA County Fair, Mischief? Yeah, this was the Texas State Fair. I believe, I don't think that Scientology ever really got a lot of membership here. Texas is very, Bible Belt. Like everybody has like a Church of Christ or a Baptist church or something like that. Methodist. Everybody has something like that they go to. We also have a lot of mega churches here too. So it probably didn't get that much of a foothold. But I believe now there is actually an org in Dallas, in Irving, which I didn't know until recently. I thought that was interesting. Well, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. This is really fun. I think I'm going to hop over to Cricket's channel and maybe try to fall asleep while I hang out there. Mary, thank you for coming in and sharing links because I'm not super fast at it yet. And I will see you guys on the flip side. See who else still here. Bye, Sandy. Bye, Mischief. No, it's okay, Mischief. It's okay. I'm still figuring out how to do this, and I don't have a schedule. I mostly just do it when I can't sleep and my kid's asleep. So, love you guys. Have a great night.